Welcome to All Things Elderly Network, where we explore the real stories, challenges, and joys of aging with dignity and wisdom. Today we're delving into a topic many seniors face, moving in with adult children. My own journey began when I realized my little bungalow, once a haven of independence, was starting to feel more like a burden than a sanctuary. The garden I'd lovingly tended for years felt overwhelming. Stairs, once a minor inconvenience, became daunting obstacles. It was time for change, a new chapter in my life. Like many in my situation, my thoughts turned to my children. Leaving my home, the place where memories were made, was harder than I imagined. My children welcomed me with open arms, their faces etched with a mixture of concern and love. They rearranged their homes, creating a space for me, a sanctuary within their own. Meals, once solitary affairs, became lively gatherings filled with the chatter of grandchildren and the comforting aroma of home-cooked meals. Yet, beneath the surface of this newfound togetherness, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was a guest in their home. What no one warned me about was the profound sense of displacement. The feeling of being unmoored from the life I had always known. The unspoken truth is that moving in with adult children, however well-intentioned, fundamentally alters the dynamics of a relationship. Parents, accustomed to being the caretakers, find themselves in the unfamiliar role of being cared for. This transition, while challenging, is not without its rewards. The laughter of grandchildren, the shared meals, the simple joy of being surrounded by family. But it's crucial to acknowledge the unspoken truths, to address the challenges with open hearts and honest conversations. The decision to move in with my adult children wasn't made overnight. The creaky stairs that once posed a minor inconvenience now filled me with a sense of dread. The garden, once a source of pride and joy, became a tangled wilderness, too overwhelming to manage alone. Phone calls with my children, though comforting, couldn't fill the void of physical presence, the simple act of sharing a meal or a conversation in person. My children, sensing my struggles, offered a solution. Move in with them. Their offer, though heartfelt and well-intentioned, stirred up a whirlwind of emotions. The decision to move in with my children was a leap of faith, a step into the unknown. The process of packing was an emotional one. Each item I touched held a story, a memory, a piece of my heart. The day I moved out of my house, a wave of sadness washed over me. As I drove away, my children's car following close behind, I couldn't help but wonder what the future held. Would I be able to adapt to their routines, their way of life? Or would this new chapter bring unexpected joys and a renewed sense of purpose? Be sure to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. Stick around until the end for more heartfelt content on family, aging, and life transitions. The early weeks in my children's home were a delicate dance of adjusting to new routines, navigating unspoken expectations, and establishing boundaries. Family dinners, once a rare treat, became a nightly occurrence, filled with the joyful chaos of grandchildren and the comforting aroma of home-cooked meals. Yet, amidst the warmth and welcome, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was navigating unfamiliar waters. My routines, once as familiar as the back of my hand, were disrupted. The unspoken truth is that moving in with adult children, however well-intentioned, inevitably shifts the dynamics of a relationship. One of the most unexpected challenges I faced was the feeling of displacement, a sense of being unmoored from the life I had always known. My belongings, once scattered throughout my own home, were now confined to a single room, a small sanctuary within their larger world. I realized that finding my place in this new living arrangement meant redefining my role, not just as a parent, but as a member of their household. It was a delicate balancing act, one that required open communication, a willingness to compromise, and a healthy dose of humor. And so, I embraced the journey with all its challenges and rewards, knowing that I was not alone in this experience. The initial weeks living with my adult children were marked by an unexpected silence. In my own home, the low hum of the refrigerator, the tick-tock of the grandfather clock, even the creaking floorboards had been a comforting presence. Now, in this new space, a different kind of quiet prevailed. It was the quiet of a house, bustling with activity, yet strangely absent of my own rhythm. The truth is, moving in with your adult children, no matter how close you are, is a transition that requires an adjustment period for everyone involved. One of the most unexpected adjustments I had to make was in the kitchen. For years, my kitchen had been my domain. Now, I was sharing a kitchen with my daughter-in-law, a woman who had her own way of doing things. At first, I tried to be helpful, to offer advice, to share my own recipes. But I quickly realized that my well-intentioned suggestions were sometimes perceived as criticism. Gradually, I learned to adapt. I discovered that sometimes the best way to be helpful was to simply stay out of the way. I found other ways to contribute, setting the table, washing dishes, entertaining the grandchildren while dinner was being prepared. Perhaps the most profound adjustment was the shift in my perception of time. In my own home, my days have been structured around my own routines, my own interests. Now my days were less structured, more fluid. I missed the feeling of being needed, of making a contribution. My children encouraged me to pursue my interests, to find activities that brought me joy. It took time, but I eventually found ways to fill my days. I joined a book club, started taking yoga classes at the senior center, and even volunteered to help out at my granddaughter's school. I was beginning to carve out a new sense of purpose, a new identity within this shared living arrangement. Amidst the challenges and adjustments, there were unexpected joys. One of the greatest gifts of moving in with my adult children was the opportunity to develop a deeper relationship with my grandchildren. In my own home, my interactions with my grandchildren had been limited to holidays and occasional visits. Now I was privy to the everyday moments of their lives. I cherished the bedtime stories, the impromptu dance parties in the living room, the quiet moments spent reading together on the couch. Being a grandparent in close proximity to my grandchildren was a role I hadn't anticipated, but one that brought me immense fulfillment. Moving in with my adult children was a journey of letting go and embracing new beginnings. It was a lesson in the delicate balance between maintaining my independence and embracing the interdependence that comes with living under one roof. There were moments when I realized that even though our lives were intertwined, we could still maintain our own identity, our own passion, our own sense of self. The key, I discovered, was communication. Open, honest communication about our needs, our expectations, and our boundaries. And so I continued to navigate this new chapter in my life, embracing the challenges and celebrating the joys, knowing that I was not alone on this journey. Living with my adult children brought to light the subtle, often unspoken tensions that can arise between generations. Our upbringings were different, our values shaped by different times. What I considered common courtesy, they sometimes saw as unnecessary formality. At first, I tried to impose my own standards, tidying up after them, offering unsolicited advice on organization. But I quickly realized that my well-intentioned efforts were sometimes met with resistance. My children, I realized, were trying to create their own family culture, one that reflected their own values and priorities. I had to accept that their way of doing things wasn't necessarily wrong, just different. And I had to find ways to communicate my own needs without sounding critical or judgmental. Section 2, the art of letting go, releasing the need for control. One of the hardest lessons I had to learn was the art of letting go. For so long, I've been the one in control, making decisions, managing my own life. Now, I was living in someone else's home, subject to their routines, their schedules, their way of doing things. It was a humbling experience to realize that I didn't always have the answers, that my way wasn't always the best way. There were times when I had to bite my tongue, to resist the urge to offer unsolicited advice or to take over tasks that I felt weren't being done to my standards. Letting go meant relinquishing control, accepting that I couldn't micromanage every aspect of my life or the lives of those around me. It meant trusting my children to make their own decisions, even if those decisions differed from my own. It wasn't always easy, this letting go. There were times when I felt frustrated, even resentful. But gradually, I began to see the wisdom in surrendering to the flow of life, in accepting that I couldn't control everything. I learned to pick my battles, to focus on what truly mattered, and to let go of the rest. Section 2, the art of letting go, releasing the need for control. One of the hardest lessons I had to learn was the art of letting go. For so long, I'd been the one in control, making decisions, managing my own life. Now, I was living in someone else's home, subject to their routines, their schedules, their way of doing things. It was a humbling experience to realize that I didn't always have the answers, that my way wasn't always the best way. Letting go meant relinquishing control, accepting that I couldn't micromanage every aspect of my life or the lives of those around me. It meant trusting my children to make their own decisions, even if those decisions differed from my own. It wasn't always easy, this letting go, but gradually I began to see the wisdom in surrendering to the flow of life, in accepting that I couldn't control everything. I learned to pick my battles, to focus on what truly mattered, and to let go of the rest. Section 3, the gift of perspective, embracing new ways of seeing. Living with my adult children offered me a fresh perspective on life. I saw their strengths, their resilience, and their vulnerabilities. I realized they still needed their mother's love and support. This new perspective softened my judgments, deepened my empathy. I learned to appreciate their efforts and celebrate their successes. My role as a mother hadn't ended, it had evolved. I found joy in the everyday moments and the precious gift of time. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more content. Section 4, finding my voice, speaking up without creating conflict. Finding my voice in this new family dynamic was crucial. Expressing opinions without conflict required a delicate touch. Gentle persuasion and careful timing were key. Open communication became my most valuable tool. We learned to navigate disagreements with grace. Despite the challenges, living with my adult children deepened our bonds in ways I hadn't anticipated. We shared everyday moments, celebrated milestones, and faced difficulties together, forging a new chapter in our family story. I witnessed firsthand the joys and challenges of parenthood, watching my children navigate the ups and downs of raising their own families. I marveled at their patience, their unwavering love, their ability to find humor amidst the chaos, the shared meal, the impromptu game nights, The simple act of gathering in the living room to watch a movie. These everyday moments became the threads that weaved us closer together. We created new traditions, shared stories, and offered each other support through life's inevitable ups and downs. Moving in with my adult children wasn't always easy, but it was, without a doubt, one of the most rewarding experiences of my life. It taught me the importance of flexibility, the power of perspective, and the enduring strength of family. It reminded me that even though life is constantly changing, the ties that bind us together can weather any storm. One of the most profound shifts I experienced living with my adult children was the gradual transition of authority. I was no longer the head of the household, the dispenser of wisdom and guidance. Instead, I found myself navigating a new dynamic, one where my opinions were valued, but not always heeded, where my advice was appreciated, but not always followed. It was a humbling experience, to say the least. I was used to being the one in charge, the one with the answers. Now, I was often the one seeking advice, asking for help with tasks that once seemed simple. It was a subtle shift, but one that went to the very core of my identity as a parent. Yet within this surrendering of authority, I discovered an unexpected freedom. I was no longer burdened by the weight of making all the decisions, of being responsible for everyone's well-being. I could relax, observe, and offer my perspective when asked, but I was no longer solely responsible for the outcome. This transition from parent to peer was not without its challenges. There were times when I felt my opinions were dismissed, my experience overlooked. But as I learned to relinquish control, to trust my children's judgment, I discovered a new level of respect and equality in our relationship. We were no longer bound by the traditional roles of parent and child, but rather we were evolving into a different kind of family unit, one where respect, support, and understanding formed the foundation. Living with my adult children gave me a front row seat to life's bittersweet symphony. I saw their joys and challenges, reliving milestones through a grandparent's eyes. Observing them, I recognized my own struggles and triumphs. I saw myself in their exhaustion and love. Time's march was evident, a reminder of mortality. I cherished these moments, aware of their fleeting nature. I learned to find joy in the ordinary, embracing life's complexities. The language of love, evolving ways of expressing affection. As our roles shifted, so too did our ways of expressing love. My love for my children now manifested in different ways, in quiet gestures of support, words of encouragement, and the simple act of being present. I learned to read between the lines, to offer a helping hand without being asked. Sometimes, the most profound expressions of love were unspoken. Navigating loss, and legacy, facing mortality in shared spaces. Living with my adult children brought the reality of my own mortality into sharp focus. I was no longer shielded by the illusion of invincibility that comes with living independently. Instead, I was confronted daily with the fragility of life, the knowledge that time was a precious commodity not to be squandered. I became more aware of my own health, of the subtle aches and pains that came with age. I found myself thinking about legacy, about what I would leave behind, about the stories I wanted to share. I started writing down memories, sharing anecdotes from my childhood, recounting stories of my parents and grandparents. I wanted my grandchildren to know where they came from, to understand the tapestry of experiences that had shaped their family history. There was a sense of urgency, a desire to pass on whatever wisdom I had accumulated over the years. I wanted my children to know how much they were loved, how proud I was of the people they had become. The unbreakable thread, finding strength in family tapestry. Despite the challenges and adjustments, moving in with my adult children reaffirmed the strength and resilience of the family unit. We learned to navigate our differences with grace and humor, to communicate more effectively, to appreciate the unique perspective each of us brought to the table. We created new traditions, shared meals, and offered each other unwavering support through life's inevitable ups and downs. The tapestry of our family, woven together with threads of laughter, love, and shared experience, became stronger, more intricate, more beautiful with each passing year. Moving in with my adult children was a leap of faith, a journey into uncharted territory. It was not always easy, but it was, without a doubt, one of the most rewarding experiences of my life. It taught me the importance of flexibility, the power of perspective, and the enduring strength of family. It reminded me that even though life is constantly changing, the bonds of love and kinship can weather any storm. Embracing the journey, navigating the uncharted waters of shared living. Moving in with adult children is like embarking on a journey into uncharted waters. Approach this new chapter with an open heart and flexible mindset. It's about blending lifestyles and finding a shared harmony. Remember, you are not alone in this journey. Seek support and share your experiences. Subscribe to All Things Elderly Network for more stories. Be kind to yourself and your loved ones. With patience and humor, navigate the challenges together. Communication, the cornerstone of harmony. Communicate, communicate, communicate. Open, honest, and respectful communication is crucial. Listen and acknowledge each other's perspectives. Create a safe space for dialogue. Address issues directly but sensitively. Collaborate and compromise for harmony. Or setting boundaries. Preserving individuality within togetherness. Foster togetherness, but respect individual boundaries. Communicate needs for privacy and personal time. Share household responsibilities and support each other. Maintain individuality for everyone's well-being. Respect boundaries to create a harmonious living environment. If you found this helpful, please like and subscribe for more content. One of the most rewarding aspects of multi-generational living is the opportunity to create lasting memories together. By actively cultivating shared experiences, you can weave a rich tapestry of family history that will be cherished for years to come. Make time for regular family meals, even if it's just a simple dinner around the kitchen table. Meal times provide a natural opportunity to connect, share stories, and strengthen bonds. Encourage conversation, laughter, and the sharing of traditions and family history. Plan outings and activities that appeal to everyone, such as visiting a museum, going for a hike, or attending a local event. Create new traditions, such as having a weekly game night, movie night, or baking day. Involve everyone in the planning and decision making to ensure that everyone feels included and engaged. Remember, it's not about the extravagance of the experience, but rather the quality of time spent together. Simple, everyday moments, such as reading stories to grandchildren, working together in the garden, or simply sharing a cup of tea and conversation, can be just as meaningful and memorable as grand adventures. Living with adult children may not have been part of your original plan, but it's important to remember that life rarely unfolds in a predictable or linear fashion. Embrace the unexpected detours, for they often lead to the most beautiful destinations. Focus on the positive aspects of this new chapter. Celebrate the joy of being closer to your loved one, of witnessing your grandchildren grow and thrive, of sharing everyday moments that you might have missed otherwise. Remember that every family has its own unique dynamic, its own set of joys and challenges. There's no one-size-fits-all approach to multi-generational living. What matters most is finding a rhythm that works for your family, one that honors individual needs while fostering a sense of love, respect, and mutual support. And so, dear listeners, as you navigate the uncharted waters of shared living, remember to embrace the journey, to communicate openly, to set healthy boundaries, to cultivate shared experiences, and above all, to find joy in the precious gift of family. For within the tapestry of family life, woven with threads of love, laughter, and shared history, lies the true meaning of home. Life rarely unfolds according to our plans. It's a tapestry woven with unexpected detours and moments of grace. Through it all, there's a golden thread, the enduring strength of family. It's about embracing the messy, chaotic beauty of different personalities and generations, learning to navigate disagreements with grace, and finding humor in everyday mishaps. The true strength of family is revealed in shared laughter, heartfelt conversations, and quiet acts of kindness. Moving in with my adult children was a leap of faith, a step into the unknown. Embrace the unknown. Life is a series of transitions, each one marked by anticipation and trepidation. With each ending comes a new beginning, a chance to rewrite the narrative and discover hidden strengths. Approach each new chapter with curiosity and a willingness to learn and grow. Be kind to yourselves and don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it. As I reflect on this chapter of my life, I'm filled with a profound sense of gratitude. Gratitude for family, laughter, shared meals, and quiet moments. The golden years are an opportunity to embrace life's richness and create a legacy of love. Shift your perspective and see this stage as a chance to share wisdom and find joy. Embrace this chapter with open arms for profound joy and deep connection. Share your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to subscribe.